I'm a late bloomer. When Massachusetts was about to rule for gay marriage, I said, you know, what I've been spending my life doing is going around the country saying some version of marriage really matters because children need a mom and a dad. And if our government and our laws teach that same-sex unions are marriages, I don't think I can go around and do that anymore, because I think that the law will be in a very visible and immediate way, and in a new way, repudiating that as either an ideal in itself and or as an ideal that's connected at all with marriage. The heart of the gay marriage idea, and I'm with profound respect to people that I disagree with, I think this is the heart of the idea. You can make all kinds of arguments, but the heart of the narrative is there is no difference between same-sex and opposite-sex couples. And if you see a difference between same-sex and opposite-sex couples, there's something wrong with you, okay? It's the equality narrative, which is the heart of the gay marriage debate, has to lead to a change, to an institutionalization on the level of government, in a change in our ideas of marriage, such that people who think there's something special about unions of husbands and wives, because these are the only kind of unions that can both make new life and connect those children in love to their mother and father. This idea, these people, the institutions that try to promote this idea, are going to start being treated like bigots who opposed interracial marriage, right? So, and then as you kind of process how this could happen, I don't want to step on John's toes or get away from the heart of the question of what marriage is, but you can't go around saying that this is an issue of equality, that it's like interracial marriage on the one hand, and then also say it's not going to affect anyone else. You know, when government adopts the idea that there is no difference between these two things with regard to marriage, and you're like a bigot who opposed interracial marriage and you continue to see a difference, right? It's going to affect, at the level of culture and law, a lot of people, and particularly strongly the people who had the project of taking marriage off of, or at least expanding it from its romantic pedestal as an expression of ultimate and true love, to recapture and to re-strengthen the institutional aspects, the way we use marriage as a culture to connect sex, love, babies, and mothers and fathers into a package deal. So the heart of the argument, and the reason it's hard actually to, not to have a civil conversation, but to actually connect, right, so that we're not talking past each other, is that we're using words in different ways, and we mean different things by it, and getting past that to the point where we can achieve disagreement, right, where we see each other's points of view and we understand why we disagree, is unusually challenging for that reason, and as well as for the fact that it's very an emotional issue, as it should be for a lot of people. This is not, you know, so what's going to change when our government starts treating traditional marriage supporters of our marriage tradition, people who try to voice and connect the ideal that children need a mother and father? Well, we're beginning to see it at law. We're beginning to see the question in places like Massachusetts of, can you run a Catholic adoption agency? The question is not, can gay couples adopt? Yes, of course they can. The question is, does every adoption agency have to place children with gay couples, or can you have one adoption agency that finds homes that are consistent with its religious beliefs? When the Catholic Church went to the legislature and said in Massachusetts, please give us a narrow exemption so we can keep helping orphans find good homes, the answer was, we wouldn't do that if you refuse to place children with interracial couples. So we're not going to abet your discrimination, right? There's a consistency to that position. But, and I guess the level I would like you to acknowledge, if you think that's the right position, is what you cannot do is take that position and then also say, gay marriage is not going to affect anyone else, right? So no one else has a stake in it. When the government adopts an equality idea, an equality norm that says, not live and let live, we all have the right to live our lives as we choose, but you're like a bigot who opposes interracial marriage, or if you don't like the B word, you're tolerating and encouraging discrimination if you see anything special about a union of husband and wife. it's going to affect other people. I was up in Maine. I was asked to come and talk to Catholic priests in the course of that gay marriage campaign, and I did a radio interview. So this is new. When I started, I said on that, and again, these are little markers of the kinds of changes. I said, there's something special about unions of husbands and wives that can create life and connect the child to their mother and father. And the radio host turned to me and said, I can't believe I'm hearing such bigotry, right? I understand this is what a number of people believe, and I'm not accusing anyone of ill-treating me at all. I'm saying that big new ideas have consequences. And the consequence of gay marriage, as it's worked out first in law and then in culture, is going to be that a new idea of marriage will replace, marginalize, and eventually stigmatize this great older cross-cultural understanding of marriage. So the case I would make to you, let me just say that if it's possible for some of you who came in here thinking that there's only animus explains why some people are not on board, why so many people, 7 million Californians, the majority of Americans, are not on board with this gay marriage thing. That even if you disagree with them, that maybe you can catch a glimpse that there's something, that it's not just about hating people, there's a good, at least, at stake here that's worthy of a certain amount of respect, even if you disagree. To me, that would be an advance, and it would also be a reassurance that maybe gay marriage doesn't mean what I think it's going to mean for marriage and the culture. And at the heart of that is the idea that I thought I would leave with you with and turn you into the capable hands of John, is to say, marriage has its own dignity and purpose. It is not rooted in animus towards gay people or anyone else. We didn't dream up this idea that it has something to do with the connection between sex, love, babies, mothers, and fathers, because this existed well before anyone imagined that gay people existed, and it exists in places where gay sex has always been welcomed. It's a human universal because there is something distinctive about the sexual union of male and female. And the question, therefore, is not merely whether we should add gay people to an existing institution, but whether it's a good idea to take that institution, give it a new meaning, in order to express respect for gay people. And I would argue that there's at least a possibility that there are other ways. We have a new problem. How do we demonstrate respect for gay people in our society, as well as how do we meet practical? 20 years ago, gay people did not imagine that gay marriage was the answer to that question. Now, the majority, although not every single gay person thinks so, it's not an inevitability. There are other possibilities out there for solving that new problem that don't require changing our public meaning of marriage. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. So our second speaker tonight is Dr. John Corvino. Dr. Corvino is Associate Professor of Philosophy at Wayne State University, where he has taught ethical theory, applied ethics, and early modern philosophy since 1998. He is the editor of Same Sex, Debating the Ethics, Science, and Culture of Homosexuality. His writing has been featured at the Independent Gay Forum in academic journals and in over a dozen anthologies. His column, The Gay Moralist, appears weekly at 365gay.com. Please join me in welcoming Dr. John Corvino.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me? Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to express my gratitude, along with Maggie, to the Socratic Club for having us here. And it's particularly a pleasure to be here with Maggie Gallagher. This is actually, though both of us have done many debates on same-sex marriage, this is actually the first time that we have been on the same stage together. Actually, we haven't been on the same stage at the same time yet, but we will be shortly, hence the chairs. We have known each other for a number of years. We have corresponded, we have emailed each other. This past year, we participated in a conversation in New York with other people involved in the marriage debate. And we are about to embark on a book together for Oxford University Press. We indeed signed the contract for that today, debating same-sex marriage. But this is our first opportunity to be on a stage together, to argue against each other in public, and to have a conversation with others. So I'm really pleased to be a part of that. Maggie and I have developed a friendly relationship in the time that we've known each other from a distance. And a lot of people are surprised to hear me say this. They say, how can you, as a gay person and a gay rights advocate, be friendly with someone who fights against marriage equality? How can you spend so much time corresponding with someone who fights against your rights? And the answer to that question is quite simple. I drink. Seriously. The answer to that question, seriously, is this. While Maggie and I disagree about this issue, and disagree in important ways, I don't want to soft pedal this and make it like it's some game. The disagreement is serious, it affects real people's lives. But while we disagree sharply on this issue, we agree that a serious issue like this deserves a serious public discussion. And tonight, I think, is an opportunity for us to have that kind of discussion. I listened to Maggie give her opening comments, and I felt like she actually gave a wonderful case in favor of traditional heterosexual marriage. I really mean that. What I think she did not do is to explain how that becomes a case against marriage for gays and lesbians. Now, a lot of what I'm going to say in my portion right now is sort of by way of a general case. I'm going to try to make a case in favor of marriage for gay and lesbian people, and I'm going to respond to some of the common arguments against it. Some of the arguments will be arguments that Maggie discussed. Some of them will be not quite those arguments, but related in some ways, and some of them will be arguments that she herself may not accept, but are arguments out there that I think need to be addressed. But before we get into those arguments against, I want to start with a case in favor, and it has a number of steps. So